Have you ever done a Sudoku puzzle before? It's a difficult puzzle when you first come across it because you just see a bunch of squares and numbers that you got to put together and you're like, what the fuck am I meant to do here? But eventually, once you learn what to do, you start to figure it out, which number places where, and it feels really good when you solve your first one, and you learn and improve, and after a while you start to realize that if you screw up once, if you get one number wrong in that Sudoku puzzle, most of the time you have to scratch that out and just pretty much start from scratch. And that's probably the best way I could say why I like Fear and Hunger.
Fear and Hunger is an RPG Maker style game, created solely by Miro Havrinen. There are two games in the series, Fear and Hunger and Fear and Hunger Termina. My experience has been on the latter, a battle royale based in a war-torn city during the 1940s. When I say this game is a horror game though, I don't want you to think like Slender Man or Five Nights at Freddy's. Rather, it's a unique feeling of terror that can be rare to find in other video games today. And I think this game is worth talking about. Even beside that, the quality, attention to details, design, game and artistically, all come together to make a really riveting game. But what this game is most infamous for is for being complete bullshit. Let me show you this by talking about the Woodsman. You can run into the Woodsman in less than a minute from the starting location, but don't let that fool you. You enter his area looking for a way into the city. You see a man with a sickle that appears to be an enemy that needs to be defeated, only for that enemy to be After witnessing the crime, you try to run with no avail. RPG combat starts and you're given the option to aim for different limbs. Seeing all available choices, you aim for the head, because this would be the kill shot, right? You get this from every other game. But you don't realize you're a fucking idiot. Do you not see how tall this man is? You can't hit his head. In response, he cuts off your left arm. You have now just lost your left arm for the entire playthrough. That is, if you can make it out. You aim for his hatchet arm now, disarming his arm-cutting weapon, but he still attacks you with his right arm. And his cock? His cock detaches and forces you to roll a 50-50. You were lucky and won the coin flip, dreading what would have happened to you if you didn't. It's your turn again. You aim for that right arm now. He has no more arms. You can defeat him until he throws his body into a tackle. This is just one enemy, and one of your first at that. On top of that, it isn't even one of the toughest enemies in the game. Actually, in fact, one of the easier ones. A defeat from the Woodsman sends you back to the start of the game. Saving is not allowed unless you can sleep in a bed or the starting train. That means when you die, you could lose hours of progress. And it can get really fucking annoying. But from that defeat, we learned something. One, that the murder animation exists, giving you ample time to just sprint away from the Woodsman, or if you're in a fight, to aim for the hatchet first to not lose any limbs. That's also considering if you win the coin flip every time, which most coin flips with enemies are instant kill moves if you lose. Running away means that if you have to backtrack, you still have a problem. If you decide to fight the Woodsman and win, you will still be on a slither of health, requiring to use items to heal. Items that are extremely rare and at random. Most boxes and item holding locations have randomized items, so you can't even rely on that. Even if you do, what if those potions could have come more in handy with an enemy that you couldn't avoid or actually ran into, and possibly an enemy significantly tougher than the Woodsman? This is what makes the game so enthralling. Every interaction becomes a puzzle to solve. What limbs are the most important to aim for? If you target an enemy's legs and they're both wounded, you can get a free headshot, landing a killing blow. But that means you didn't aim for their arms, which hold their most dangerous weapons. Those weapons that can cut off your left and right arm. Bastard. On top of that, calculating what items you have, what options are available, and how to handle each unique situation becomes a pivotal part of the gameplay. as every enemy has the potential to at least burn your resources or at most ruin your run. All that combined makes fighting really stressful and horrifying, but incredibly enjoyable at the same time. This is only exaggerated by its unfair saving system and mechanics. You can only save in a bed or at the starting train, which have limited locations. That's already harsh enough, but saving passes time in the overworld, which has a time limit of 3 days until everything goes Majora's Mask. You go over that time limit with saves, you die, run over. Even then, not every save location is safe. The game has this weird mechanic of all these interactable objects in the world. Some of these interactions are simple to understand, but going back to the woodsman, there is this well nearby. In the woodsman's house, there's a locked door that cannot be entered without killing the woodsman. But this conspicuously placed well could also be a secret entrance to the locked basement. You're even given the option to jump in, so I believed my thought process was correct. I was very wrong. Jumping into the pit leads to nothing. Well, you get a coin, but apart from that, fuck all. No secret entrance is in this well as no way out. This is just another way for your run to die. You don't get a game over screen either. You get just dialogue options to try and scream or climb out of the well to no avail. And the game is full of these weird objects that even choosing the wrong interaction will lead to a game over screen. This makes the game absolutely terrifying to traverse. Finding a new dungeon location, hours of progress away from your last save, afraid of anyone and anything you touch, can lead to some fear-gripping moments of pure terror.
Why does this thing exist? Why does it exist?
This world is not your playground. Defeating more enemies does not make you stronger like typical RPGs, meaning that the woodsman at the start of the game is just as difficult at the end of the game. There are only the powerful and the weak, and if you hear this theme, you've probably forgotten your place. It begs the question, then, why play this game at all? If it's just difficult for the sake of being difficult, why spend so much time on this game? Well, I'm kinda glad you asked. Its cruelty and suffering the game has brought me has given me unending frustration. But every time I died and rage quitted the game, I never blamed the game itself. Instead, I would think back and figure out how could I survive this situation? Did I aim for the right limbs? Could I have avoided the fight entirely? What items did I have? All these questions keep you immersed and completely focused on the world outside of any playthrough. And then once back into the world, it's hard to ignore its beautiful set pieces and its inspired enemy designs and its absolute banging soundtrack. When you're so focused on staying alive and noticing every detail, its inspiring set pieces start to stand out, and you start to realize this RPG game is one-of-a-kind experience. At some point, from playing so much, you begin to learn. Every time you clear a dungeon that you were once terrified of, you're rewarded with the next location, to explore with new enemies and obstacles to overcome, and it really feels like a reward. You feel like you're completing a jigsaw puzzle, one piece at a time. And then, suddenly, out of nowhere, you get that run, where everything seems to click. You find the OP items, you defeat the toughest enemies, you escape the toughest scenarios, you just clear dungeon after dungeon, you find new area after new area, more lore, and start to put the pieces together. You're staying alive for so long, terrified of losing everything, but you keep pushing. This is the perfect run. I'm crazy with it. Later, bitch! Get the fuck off my screen! you,
back!
Horsey? Where are you? This is it. This is it! I'm going to make it. It's going to be my final run. I've done so much to get to this point. Every single one of my party members has died. I've lost my left arm even. And still, I'm pushing forward. This game is getting so close. I'm so close to the end. Even if I'm by myself, I could do it. I can make it to the end. I believe in myself. This is it. I'm going to fucking do it! I'm such a dumbass. I didn't see it.
Did you just die?
If you feel like I've spoiled the game by the content I've revealed, I haven't. I've actively avoided talking about other content pieces, even core mechanics of the game, so I don't reveal the wizard's curtain. Let's say I'm goading you into finding other ways to deal with the woodsman. This game has quickly become one of my favorite games of all time, and I highly recommend buying the game on Steam. And the best part of this game, after everything I've said, is learning it. Not only the plethora of ways to handle any encounter with an enemy, but also the lore. There is a real deep lore to this game, full of history and facts of old gods and new, that spoiling any of it feels like a disservice. This game brings back that feeling of playing a game as a kid, back in 2005, where I'd play games with no help, no understanding of anything going on, and explore it all on my own. And I implore you to do the same. Fear and Hunger, at its core, is just another puzzle waiting to be sequenced and solved. I just wanted to say thank you so much for listening. I wish I had a better microphone. I actually did, but the dog chewed the cord, so I can't use that microphone anymore. So I hope you're okay with, the kind of the airport microphone that I'm currently using. But I really appreciate everybody that saw this video to the end. I just kind of had a creative idea and I saw this video and just kind of pieced it together, and I just felt like I had to make it, even though it's been so long since I've done a video. If you really like it, I appreciate any support, likes, comments, $1,000, whatever you want to give me. But obviously, if this is like something that you would love to see again, want me to make more videos, I can't really promise anything. I don't know when the next time I'll feel inspired to do this, but obviously if there's support out there for something like this, I'll definitely, look forward to trying to do something. But anyway, I appreciate everything, and thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, share on Facebook and Twitter, and I'll see you all next video. See ya!